My name is Kellie Frazier. I am the founder of Connecting, where leaders learn how to connect both logic and compassion. I'm also the inspired creator for Day of Love, where brides and grooms learn to stay emotionally connected to God, to themselves, and to others. Today we're going to answer the question, what does it take to stay married for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 plus years? What does it take to create a successful marriage? How do we learn to work together in our marriage, especially when we've maybe got a lot of baggage that we bring into a marriage? Everybody does at some point or another, and you kind of have to navigate those things. How do you do it? Well, today I've invited 10 successful women who are here to share their marriage tips with you. Now, you're only going to hear from a few of them today, and the next few days, over the course of the next few days, we're going to share many more tips with those 10 women. Today I have just, what do we have? We have three. We have one that may pop in if she can get in, which would be great. But if you want to hear all 10 of them, just go to dayoflove.org and sign up there, and you'll get to hear all 10 in a video that they'll all be together, and they won't be separated or divided. You won't have to go to YouTube for it. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to turn it over to these ladies who are going to share their excellent tips. Again, I want to welcome you if you're just now joining us. My name is Kellie Frazier, founder of Connecting, and I am so excited to have these ladies here today. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn it over to the first one who came on today, and her name is Vicki Conley. Vicki, would you go ahead and share with us your success marriage tip?
Hi, Kellie. Thank you for having me on today. And I didn't realize that I was going to be the one to go first, so I had wrote all sorts of different tips down, so I'm kind of having trouble focusing on one. First off, I just want to say I'm Vicki Conley from Windsor, Colorado. I was married to my husband for 35 years last August. He did pass away in February of this year of brain cancer. So when you asked for people to come on and tell your story, I was inspired to tell my story because I lived till death do us part. And one of the things that I really wanted to focus on this is just that it's not about quantity time in your marriage, it's about quality time. And I feel that Mike worked nights by choice for many years, and so I feel that I had time by myself to do things that I wanted to do, but we both had trust for each other going into our marriage, love and trust both, and so we weren't always able to spend a lot of quantity time together, but we tried to make the most of the time we had together. And even 35 years does sound like a long time, but as I look back on it now, it seems like it passed in a very small amount of time. So I guess that's what I can't really fill 5 minutes with this.
No, it's okay. Okay, so Vicki, let me just share in case people are just now joining us. I want to just kind of reiterate what you just said. She was sharing how Mike, her husband, recently passed away, and it is just having her on here today is such a tremendous benefit because watching their marriage even in the last couple of years. I mean, I saw the joy, I saw that trust that you're talking about, Vicki. Can you help me understand a little bit more? What exactly did trust look like within your marriage? What were some of the ways that you had to trust each other?
Well, for example, Mike was an avid motorcycle rider. That's what he loved to do. And in the beginning, we went on several motorcycle trips together, and I got to the point where, it wasn't quite so much fun for me, and he really enjoyed doing it, and he had a couple buddies that liked to go on motorcycle trips, and they would take off for a week, and I wouldn't worry. I wouldn't worry about him. I wouldn't worry about what was going on. I knew, I trusted him. He trusted me. I went on several business trips, so I would be away from home. I guess we felt we owed each other that time. I let him go on motorcycle trips. He let me go on business trips, and we just knew we just had that trust. I guess I don't even know how to explain it.
Well, what I'm hearing about what you're saying is that each of you had your individual desires in life, and each of you were able to live out those desires without the other person being jealous of it or trying to stop you, prevent you from doing it. So it sounds to me like your success tip would be to be able to allow each other the freedom to be the individuals that you are. Is that about right?
There we go. That sounds really good. Yeah.
All right. Excellent. Well, thank you very much. And Vicki, like I said, I know how difficult this was for you today. So really, thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here. So we're going to move on to Barry. Barry, thank you very much for being here too. And what do you say?
Mary Hicks, and I've been married. This November will be 14 years. An interesting note about us: we have actually a 22-year age gap between us, and that lends itself to a whole host of new challenges. And so my tip would really be about overcoming that adversity. Always remember why you got married in the first place, and harness that love and that passion and that respect that you have for your spouse's mind and their heart over everything else. Make the memories now. The physical and the material things, those are temporary for most people, as we found they were for us. Jobs and career paths will change voluntarily and involuntarily. Money comes and goes. Physical ability and beauty will change over time, or change due to an acute event. And babies may happen or they may not happen. But the key is not to have gotten married for those things. You don't know that those are in your future. So you have to remember why you married that person, what it was about them that attracted you. And they take a toll mentally and emotionally. Vicki, I'm sure, as you could attest to, they really they take their toll. And so when you're in that space, that really scary space of change and transition and uncertainty, hunker down and do what you have to do to nurture that spirit that you felt when you first met and fell in love with your spouse. Don't focus on what you don't have. And during those times, you may have outside support, friends and family, of course, but at the end of the day, it really is you two against the world. Every couple is that way. It's those two people against the world. I don't know if I have any time, but I do have. In 2008, we started our journey towards decline in health. My husband got very, very sick, and I had at that time been really focused on having children, and we were unable to at the time. And as a woman, it became all-consuming for me. And when he got sick, he was in and out of intensive care for an entire summer. And I was 30, 31 years old woman who had a husband who had a heart attack. I mean, it's a pretty rare event. And there was a point where he was unable to communicate with me verbally, and there was uncertainty as to what type of person he would be once he got out of the hospital. The nurses and doctors couldn't guarantee his mental ability. And there was one specific moment where I had walked away from his bedside at the hospital, and my family couldn't make it down. And so it was just the two of us against that world. And he called me back into the room, very stuttered, couldn't speak very well. It took him 5 minutes to get out one phrase, and that phrase changed the trajectory of our entire relationship. And he doesn't remember it, but I do. And that was the message. And again, over 5 minutes, it took him that long to say, "I'm trying to tell you that I love you." He doesn't remember it. I do. And so I looked at it, I said, okay, the babies haven't happened. I don't know if you'll be able to turn on a gas stove in a week when I take you home, but by God, okay, I got it. It's the two of us, and we can do this. And so that's what we focus on when things get silly, and the money goes, and it does. But I focus on that time frame, and everything else really just falls into place after that.
That's beautiful. That is beautiful. Thank you very much for sharing that. You know, it's interesting because when you get into business, or if you do get into business, you often hear in order to keep a great business going, you really have to remember your why and come back to that every single time. And that's exactly what you're saying here, that it takes the same thing in marriage. And I love how you have actually have a similar story to Celine Dion. I don't know if you know that. But if you have ever watched her documentary video about her life, I really encourage you to do so because it's a fabulous story. And I think Renee, her husband, was also married. He was like 20 some odd years older than she was too. So, you know, a lot of similarities there. So definitely, if you have an opportunity to watch that, I think you should. Thank you very much, Barry. That was awesome. Excellent, excellent advice. Always come back to your why of why you're staying together. So the next person we have, and Harpreet, I'm going to go ahead and unmute you. I muted you just so that we would not hear the noise. Go ahead and say something for me. Just make sure I have you unmuted. All right, I guess that did not work. Let's try it again. Can you say something, Hart? Yeah, I'm still not hearing you. Did you mute yourself by chance? No, okay. Ladies, are you hearing her and it's just me?
No, I don't hear her.
Okay, so Harpreet, is there a way that you can unmute yourself?
Can you hear me now?
There you are, yes. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. All right. I'm Harpreet Randhawa here from India, married for 20 years. Married to the Indian Army, to put it straight and right, because in India we have a different setup. Yes, and myself and my husband, we have an age difference about 3 years, so we are more like friends. We've seen difficult times together, but the most important aspect was humor in our life. Kept us going on strong, and at the same time being an anchor for each other in difficult times and in happy times as well. Uh, Navinda, my husband, he was looking for a transition from the Indian Army to get into the corporate, but I lent him a hand and helped him to settle down in a challenging corporate world. And at one point of time, he held my hand and helped me to be an edupreneur, where I left my job and I got into entrepreneurship. And that was such a big support, and I'm doing a great job, and I'm very happy pursuing my passion. At the same time, we believe in giving personal space, mentally and physically, to each other, which is so very important for both of us to grow as individuals. Because being married is one thing, but living is another. So we believe that if you're happy and you're living, you'll have a very happy married life. And to end it all, I kept my maiden name from day one intact. I did not get into becoming Mr. Navinda Singh Narang, but I kept it as Harpreet Randhawa. So, you know, I maintained my identity. So I'm not a feminist that when I talk, but definitely I'm an individual, and my husband did support to that. Looking into the background of the Indian family system, it's quite conservative, but he helped me sail through that very successfully. So we've been holding hands, and we look forward to a married life till the Almighty provides all blessings on us, and we have a daughter, and she's a blessing to us. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. I know Nevender from years ago. We've known each other for a long time now because we first started in a leaders group that Kwai Yu had started actually. And just the correspondence that he and I have had, I know how much he treasures you, and it's beautiful to watch you two. And really, I love what you said about humor being the most, important thing that's kept you two together. And I know you probably didn't say the most important, but that was one of the important aspects of your marriage to keep you together. And I agree with that 100%. My husband is a character and a half, and he keeps me laughing so much. And it does help to go through those difficult times. Even sometimes you kind of say, okay, this is a serious situation now, just no humor, let's just get through the serious situation. But if they have a sense of humor, it just comes out. It's almost like they can't help themselves. And it really does help to lighten the burden or lighten the load, even if you feel like you just don't want to hear it at that time. So I totally get what you're saying. And I love the fact that you two really have supported each other and buoyed each other up when you needed to, and not in small things, but in huge aspects of your lives. But I believe with all my heart, and correct me if I'm wrong, Harpreet, I believe that when you can support each other in the small things, you will definitely be able to support each other in the large things. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely, and we've sailed through a very difficult time, initial years when he was very sick. Betty has been, I share the same sentiments with you. I have seen Navinder go through a real bad medical problem, and I had almost lost him. But then I think it was my faith and trust, if I would put it, in the destiny, that why I am married to him. So that makes my, thought process and my belief in marriage system all the more strong.
Yeah, definitely. Well, ladies, I just want to hug all three of you. Thank you so much for being here. This has been such a great opportunity for people to learn really what it's like to stay married through the challenging times as well as the happy times. And I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, because I know that what you've shared here today is going to affect and impact marriages probably for years to come. So thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. Well, I want to, again, just encourage you to listen over the next couple of days. Harpreet, I'm going to go ahead and mute you again. We got a little bit of noise going. I want to encourage you to listen over the next few days, because we are still going to talk to some other women who have been married for longer than 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. So if you want more great advice, more great tips, tune in with kelliefrazier.com. Check me out on my Facebook page. You'll see when we're uploading and when we're doing these videos. Thank you very much, ladies, again. Have an awesome, awesome day.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly.